Good morning. Thank you so much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a delight to be here and address the 2025 Scotland Forum, WG10 Summit, with the Interparliamentary Alliance for the Empowerment of Women in the Economy and Diplomacy. And it really is a privilege to share our determination to progress women's leadership. Just acknowledge, before I say thank you to my good friend Tasmina Ahmed Sheikh and Mark Donfrid, with whom I've had the privilege of working before. But I do want to acknowledge here Alex Salmon. I would have called him a friend, and I think I did, and on many occasions, including the Iraq War, we were at the front line of the marches, and I remembered him with great fondness as I was coming here. I also want to say that I could almost dump this, and I did work very hard to write it, so I am going to say a few words from this. But I was just in awe of the presentation from Amika. And the reason is because all those years ago when I first gave birth to my first son, who's now 46, I realized long before any health professionals that there was something not quite right as there were with other children of his age. And I went along to my GP saying, you know, what can you do? And at the age of his age of 4, I came across a book called Simple Simon from America, written by parents in America. And I came armed with that, and I said, is there anything with a computer? I didn't mention technology. I said, is there anything with computer which can help him assist to speak and understand and help him move and, you know, all of that. Anyway, and looking at the incredible progress now, me realize that there might have been hundreds of thousands, and there are who wish that advanced technology was for their good, right? Whether it's the amputees, whether it's the people who've got learning disabilities. And I'm looking at my good friend, Dr. Lisa Cameron, with whom we worked on the Disability All-Party Parliamentary Group. And I remain wishful that developers and innovators would think that some of these robotics, some of these advanced engineering is accessible and applicable. Anyway, so that's my wish, and it was an amazing conversation, and everything I've always believed, and my family always say, you know, you're always so conspiratorial. Well, it's the truth. It's been happening behind university like this, and it's been happening in globally in many places. So I am indeed very, very grateful to Tasmina and Mark Donfrid for their tireless determination. And this forum, as our distinguished speakers before me have said, that this can be a cornerstone of international cooperation and progressive dialogue. And in the context of intelligence, cybersecurity, and digital finance and human intelligence, I think that we have no choice but to integrate all of these different aspects of societal changes and movement. As leaders, you will agree that these are no longer, and you've seen it for yourself, technical happenings in a distant dimension. These matters demand our immediate attention if we are to become embedded in every aspect of geopolitical, economic, and social arenas, with decisions already being made which are and will continue to define a new paradigm shift in all nations and society. And given the distinct societal impact, I would argue that women must be leading partners and developers, as well as decision makers and standard bearers. And you could see in the development already that women are not really in the leadership position. And I just don't know why, because they are certainly at the back room of the development, and they are partners, not visibly, but they definitely are present there. It is a fact that all advanced technology transformation remains in a handful of monopolies and male owners, the usual suspect with billions to spare and continue to monetize personal data from leading institutions as well as public services, from health, education, local authorities, where women, as I've said, are indeed present and managing organization second and third tier with remarkable absence in the higher layer of decision making. In the context of advanced technology, challenges remain. Women comprise around 20 to 20% of UK data and AI professionals, and women are less than 1% of procurement. Women and women-led businesses are only 1% when they're accessing government contracts, which I just found absolutely shocking. Well, I don't know why I should be shocked, but I continue to amaze myself with these new facts. The pathways into STEM sector also remain uneven and underrepresented in education. Women face structural barriers in access to funding and biases in their leadership promotion, particularly in frontier tech and digital finance. Nevertheless, we must acknowledge some of the excellent program and work in progress that are hopeful in nurturing women leaders in AI, cybersecurity, robotics. And they include the Athena Swan Charter, part of UK universities. I'm not going into details. Yeah, I'm sure you'll find them if you search for it. Scotland's Equate, which is working with the Napier University in Edinburgh. The Equality Maturity Model developed under EU-wide Uddin network, as well as corporate sectors. NatWest, I think, has taken significant steps to empower women in the workforce. And of course, EY, women in data, code first girls, they're all pushing the boundaries. So we know the digital landscape presents a global economy, a challenge. Immense potential for growth, driven by the millions of young people, their demographic advantages, shifting market, global opportunities. And we will need to monitor the ever-present continuum of external and internal risks, exacerbating inequalities, particularly for women and young persons generally, but those affected by wars and conflict blazing across our nations. What happens elsewhere indeed affects all of us in our backyard. As present, whilst leading institutions and organizations are having to deal with the increased cyber threats, governing institutions and the corporate sectors have been able to invest for protection and guardrails. This is not available or affordable for many women-led organizations and startups in the sector, and does require financial support. If a storm in a room is created in any part of the globe, and it creates havoc in our system and impacts supply chain, including food, travel, banking, in places, it places greater imperative on international cooperation, as has been mentioned, across the border. And we know cyber threats happens in parliaments across the world, across our different parliaments. But we also know businesses have been affected, and recently I can mention Marks & Spencer, Co-op. They were shut down for weeks in the UK. I don't know whether you are aware. Although I want to note that together as a nation, producing new weapons for mass casualty is not my ideal intergovernmental cooperation or creating peace dividends. And so I think that many of the new emerging technologies, main concerns are, data gathering, weaponry, we're talking about advanced drones and all of that. And we are so far away from what we all as a collective want to achieve, which is peace, dividends. So Parliament across nations are taking up the opportunities, including UK Parliament, particularly with regards to online safety. As you know, we've just passed the law as we speak. We are beginning to implement it. UK members are calling right now ministers to address the dire needs for UK AI SI, which is the Security Institute, to put on statutory footing. You may be aware that Google did not provide UK AI Security Institute redeployment access to their current model for testing. And there will be thousands of examples like this for us to address as government and institutions as the implementation of legislation across the globe and development become more robust and guidelines come along, particularly how we should integrate economic and digital framework. There is, as I said, glaring gap in access to venture capital funding for female entrepreneurs, and the notable skill shortage, which we have known for about forever. These divisions impact women and young people in certain parts of our country in a furious way. If they are if they are of a different color or faith, this problem exacerbates, and we can't shy away from that. I think we just need to be quite clear in the way that we approach this. Over the past 4 years, I and my colleagues, including Dr. Lisa Cameron, who will be speaking to you shortly, have been able to create forums and workshops encouraging women entrepreneurs leading in the emerging technology sector in order for us to collectively define what needs attention, how we can overcome challenges to support one another as they develop their business and research. This work will continue for the years ahead, and I hope we can keep in touch about its progress. So regardless of the challenges I've mentioned and reinforced, there are an incredible group of professionals who are driving meaningful impact. There are pioneers and leaders like Dame Wendy Hall, a pioneer of artificial intelligence. You hardly hear her name, and cybersecurity experts, Dr. Jessica Barker, an innovator in digital asset space, is a founder and a of the Digital Economy Institute, like Lijoma Okoli. These are incredible women who are in the frontiers. There are, of course, countless others, including many of the distinguished speakers and participants that we will be sharing this platform with. And yes, AI does possess the power to unlock more inclusive healthcare and education, predictive justice, and maybe someday, very, very soon, tailor education to the needs of individual children, including disabled children, but only if the system we build reflect the full diversity of our society that we serve. Here, I absolutely believe that women developers and innovators can make a fundamental difference in the choice, in the way that we shape new language models, LLMs. So I suggest in cybersecurity and women's leadership brings a more holistic and interdisciplinary perspective, crucial in a world where digital threats have psychological, social, and political consequences. I'm going to leave the crypto and blockchain sector to my expert colleagues, but it's still nascent and still malleable, and there's indeed design flaws, which means that we don't, the system is not as trusted and valued as it should. And once maybe government becomes supporters, then we will soon see the changes. So what can the UK government itself do? Well, I think it's trying its best while promising steps are on the way. Integrated approaches are critical, and I don't think we're thinking, I mean, sorry to use this word in such a loose way in such eminent company, but AI has become very sexy, and everything else which is, you know, its sisters and its partners is hardly in the room. So I think we need to ensure that whatever we talk about is integrated. And I think, you know, to propel the upskilling and education pipeline is absolutely critical. And of course support the entrepreneurs, because women, particularly since COVID, I mean, you know, 80% of women that have come to our workshops and discussion say that they still want to work on their own, and they don't want to go into this mass, you know, empty space of corporate sectors. And I think it would be incredible for us to financially support that. And I think we do need to, as government, different governments must address the issue. What we promised about Web3 being accessible to ordinary people, that people would be able to have more control over their own personal data as well as official data. It is an absolute pipe dream at the moment. That is not the fact. You know, mass ordinary public out there do not have sufficient amount of information to base their decision whether they can own, how do they get to own, how do they, you know, monetizing their own personal data is a pie in the sky as far as we're concerned. And we still in this country, I don't know about the Scotland figures, and I'm sorry I didn't look it up, but we still have, you know, 2 out of 5 kids in our country who do not have access to advanced technology, and women still do not have in their millions a smart device. So I think in order for us to benefit what is already available, it must become more accessible. So this is why the work of the summit, this summit, is so important. If we do not continue these exchanges, the changes will not happen, and they will happen without women, like you've said. And I hope we remain committed to building an inclusive ecosystem of human beings, of human intelligence, which can erase the inequalities we have so far tolerated, creating a future where women are visibly shaping our digital economy and society as partners and leaders, not outriders. And I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you.